How's it going, everybody? It's Pilot Flame, and we are back with another deadline stream for Game Week 3 this time. As normal, as customary, when it is the Saturday deadline, I get to get up 1 hour before the FPL deadline, and I get to use my little mic, which I actually somehow managed to get it to be good quality a while back when I messed around with the settings in voice meter. So yeah, we're going to take a look at the current situation. I made a transfer, so we'll be able to see what that is. We'll take a look at the watch list as we do per normal. We'll take a look at the fixtures probably at some point as well. And we'll go over kind of what our new plan is, because Cristiano Ronaldo actually signed for United. So that's going to be pretty mental. And we'll discuss what his situation is and when he should be arriving back in the Premier League. So we're going to check all that out and much, much more. But before we do that, let's take a look at Fantasy Football Scout. So, Fantasy Football Scout. It's a fantastic utility that you can use to help up your FPL game. They have Opta driven stats tables which you can customize to your needs. They have the Rate My Team tool, the season ticker, 3-player comparison tool. They have a lot of different things going on there, and it's great stuff over in Fantasy Football Scout. And they still have the offer on 20% off that you can get for your Fantasy Football Scout membership if you sign up before Sunday, being tomorrow. So make sure to do that, because that is when the offer runs out, and I believe it's £25 rather than 20 during normally throughout the season. So make sure to get it before, and you'll be able to renew as often as you'd like for the new year when it comes around, and you'll still get 20% off, which is quite nice. But yeah, enough about Fantasy Football Scout. Even though it is a fantastic tool, we're going to now talk about fantasy football itself. So let's move over to the team. Just like to make a few one shout out at the beginning of the stream. It was Hoss00312_. Thank you for the follow as well. And Nobadinho, hello. Thank you for joining. For some reason my rank wasn't 52722, it was 52726, so I either made a typo or I lost 4 places randomly. But yeah, as you can see up in the upper right hand corner, 1 of 2. So the way that works for that stat, transfers used last week, that's going to change to a 1 because we have made a transfer and we have 2 frees at the moment. And one of them was used, and I'm going to be saving the other one. And it's Heung-min Son. We've brought Heung-min Son in for the likes of Mohamed Salah. We've done the straight swap, just because Salah, even if he has to isolate, whether he does or doesn't, Son at home to Watford's a better fixture than Chelsea at home. So I like Son in that fixture. I think it is the best fixture. When I made my captain matrix that I have, which you should all do, which is basically you go through every game week, you look at the fixtures. Obviously, you don't want to go too crazy, but you can do the first 8 game weeks or whatever and populate it as you would like. And you say, what are the best fixtures on paper, regardless of who's playing? Which fixtures do I want to target? So when we go to look at those fixtures here. I was like, okay, Man City versus Arsenal, that could be. This was before the season started. I did it all the way up until game week 8. I said, actually no, I think I did it all the way to game week 38, but that can obviously change. Man City versus Arsenal, Arsenal probably give them a good run, but should be fine. But that's now changed. That went up in priority actually. Liverpool versus Chelsea, that's always going to be difficult. Norwich versus Leicester, I was thinking, oh, Leicester, that can be a very good fixture, but in reality, Leicester have been quite poor. Spurs versus Watford. If Kane was there, Son was there, that's always going to be damage. And then Wolves versus United. Historically, whether Nuno Espirito Santo is there or not, Wolves have always been tricky for United. And with a fully packed Molineux, that could be a bit trickier than normal from last season. United struggled versus Wolves last season as well. So basically I'm looking at the fixtures now, and I think the only one that really hasn't changed for the most part is Spurs versus Watford. And I thought, well, who's the best asset to bring in? It's probably going to be Son. He only played 20 minutes. Um, he came off the bench in the Europa Conference League on Thursday, so he's got a little bit of minutes in his legs, but definitely fully rested and should be good to go. Which is why we have the captaincy on him. Also, if you guys and girls don't know, there is a you got these little team news articles down here. Fantasy Football Scout also does their own team news kind of roundup on Fridays typically over on their YouTube page. Make sure to check that out. But also you can get the site pieces as well. So it's like Kevin De Bruyne rolled out, Saka, White, Tierney, Gabriel, and Partey. You can look at whichever team you want. Moyes updates on Masuaku, Vieira previews trip to West Ham. There's a whole bunch of different things on here, so I would suggest that you take a look at that because it is quite useful. But yeah, so this is the team that we have at the moment. So we have Sanchez in goal versus Everton at home. Ayling away to Burnley. Trent Alexander-Arnold versus Chelsea at home. Luke Shaw versus Wolves away. We have Fernandes as our vice captain. Harvey Barnes in there as well. Ben Rama versus Norwich away and Crystal Palace at home, respectively. Son comes into the team and takes the captain's armband. Again, following along the plan, everything is going as according to plan. Wilson, Antonio, and Ings, all three home fixtures. Fantastic stuff there. The bench is a bit light though this week, so because Veltman won't be playing, but he'll be back in Gameweek 4 100%. Graham Potter confirmed that he's actually back in training now, so he's going to be. I don't think he's going to be going on international duty. I don't think so. He's going to be basically training with Brighton for 2 weeks straight, pretty much. And he's going to be raring to go for Game Week 4, and we'll probably come straight back in at right wing back, and then that'll mean Pascal Gross switches into the center over the likes of Lallana or somebody like that. Tsimikas, we know he was the hero in our first 2 game weeks, but he is most likely not going to play versus Chelsea because Robertson is back. Although we're going to keep him around for a little while longer, just in case Robertson gets free injured or something like that. He will be still in our team. And then lastly, Gilmore, he's going to get us 2 points. He's probably our only realistic bench player that we can expect any points if we need somebody to come off the bench. But I think everyone else should play. Maybe Barnes, possibly not, but I think everyone else should be okay. Hey, Jankster, how's it going? How's it going? Hope things are going well with you. And yeah, we're looking okay. We're looking okay. Hope your team's doing well. The first 2 game weeks, everyone's team should be realistically doing well. I mean, if you had Sal and Bruno in game week 1, if you have some West Ham players, game week 1 and 2, maybe double Liverpool defense, you're probably looking okay. So, gotta get that water in early because otherwise I will be tired come middle of the day. So, let's look at our watch list here. So we update this on a weekly basis. We do it actually on the preview streams now. So what you do in order to update your watch list, everyone can do this on FPL. You go click on a player, whether they be in the transfer list or in your team or whatever, and you hit add to watch list. And then when you sort on the side here, you can have all these players in the watch list. So currently we have Hugo Lloris in the watch list. He has Watford at home, Crystal Palace away. So maybe he's got 2 clean sheets and 2, so he could be quite fortunate to get those points. Excuse me. Definitely early in the morning, you can tell because the yawns are back. Rhea's done well, 2 clean sheets and 2 as well. He's got a good little bit of fixtures left before game week 6, and he could be quite interesting as well. So goalkeeper's not really too too busy on the watch list because we've had Sanchez and we're gonna keep him probably. I've got Sanchez, Ailing, Simicast, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Shaw, Umabama, Deli, Salah, Bruno, Benrahma, Mahrez, Basuma, Tony, Antonio, and Ings. With 2 free transfers with a 100.4 team value, what would I do? So, you have Tony, you have Ings, you have Antonio, Salah, Bruno, Benrahma. Me personally, with that team, I would keep Mahrez for this week specifically. I think he's perfectly fine. Bruno's obviously not going anywhere. Benrahma's not going anywhere. Antonio, Ings. I would give Tony personally if I had him another week. That's just my opinion. I'm doing the same thing with basically Barnes as well. I think Shaw, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Ailing, and Sanchez, they're not going anywhere either. I'd be interested to see how much money you have in the bank. I would assume it's 0.0. But let us know how much money you have in the bank. Because if you have 0.5 million, what I would probably do is simulcast to a 4.5 million defender. 0 in the bank, okay, as expected. I mean, there's nothing really wrong with the team. I mean, you could do, if you have a plan, if you wanted to bring in Son, how I've done, for Salah for a couple of game weeks. Apologies for the yawning. That's going to happen a lot on the deadline streams. But you could do Salah out, Son in for a couple of game weeks. You could also just keep Salah in and just see how it goes versus Chelsea, and just make a very, very boring transfer, as it were. You can get rid of Simicast, assuming that you've had him from the beginning, and just bank the 0.1 million. Just bring in another 4.0 defender that's probably not going to drop, or you could bring in Livramento, who's 4.1 now, but his place is pretty straightforward as well. If you didn't want to do the Son move. Thinking of Son for Salah because he's got a good scoring record against, but he's got a good scoring record against Chelsea. Yeah, he does, but he also could be potentially that is Salah's having to isolate potentially is still up in the air for game week 4 because of international duty. But you also have to remember: are you going to be bringing in Ronaldo for game week 4? Are you going to be bringing in Lukaku? What is the situation going to be there? I definitely think that you're in a very good position to hold a transfer and only use one. I think Mahrez could be the way you are able to reshape things, as it were, a lot easier. So if you were to, let me actually just I'm going to bring up your team. So you probably have a 4.0 million in goals. So you don't have Veltman, you have Simicast, you have Shaw. I'll keep Gilmore, but it's, he's Basuma. You don't have Barnes, you don't have Son, you have Mahrez, Salah. So Salah's going to be 0.1 more for me, but that's fine. You have Mahrez. Your other defender is Omobama Deli. You have Ings, Antonio, and Tony. Hi Masudi, how's it going? Everything is good. Hope everything's going good with you. So yeah, we're 0.2 off. Who do you have? You have Antonio Ings and yeah, so we're 0.2 off because of the price drop for Barnes and the price increase for Salah. So just don't worry about that. So we effectively have zero in the bank, so we get an extra point, an extra 0.2 So if we make a transfer and it's 1 million we save, then it's actually 1.2 million. So I would be keeping Mahrez for Arsenal because he came off the bench and scored. And I'd be ditching him I mean, might not even be ditching him versus Leicester. So, and he's so low owned as well. So if you wanted to go the Son route, Son would be 10.1. So you'd actually have 2.5 million in the bank by my calculation. Then in game week, actually, let me just make this Basuma just to make it easier. Oh, Basuma's gone up by 0.6, so you actually have, yeah, you still have 2.5 million in the bank. He's gone up by 0.1, not 0.6. If he went up by 0.6, that'd be crazy. But it's only because he scored. In game week 4, you'd be getting rid of Ings most likely. And yeah, Mahrez could just be the make way. I mean, and then you can just go. I'm gonna put Kane here, but you could just get Ronaldo. You could just get Ronaldo up front. So your team value would be an extra point. Like we'll say you have 7 million. I think it's 7.2, but we'll say you have 7 million. If Ronaldo's value is 13 million, you'd be around like the 6.3ish mark. So you could just go for somebody like Sar, who, if you wanted to keep Son, and then Sar, if in game week 4, 5, and 6 has Wolves, Norwich, and Newcastle, which is great. Those are fantastic fixtures. Leeds away isn't terrible. And then if you have that, you can keep Son for the Crystal Palace fixture. Okay. And then in game week 5, you could jump off. You say you'd have around 0.5ish million or something like that. You could keep Son potentially if you wanted to, or you could just go for a little bit of a power play if you wanted to go for like a hit or something like that. You can get rid of Fernandez to bring. You should be able to bring Salah straight back in because you should have around like 0.5ish million. Son versus Chelsea is probably not okay, but you might want to keep Son for Arsenal away, Aston Villa at home. Those two fixtures might not be terrible. Then in game week 6, you could save a transfer. And then in game week 7, you can get rid of what would be effectively Ronaldo in this case, at 13 million. And then you could just bring in Lukaku. Then you'd have a little bit extra money. And then you could, if you wanted to, Luke Shaw plays Everton. You could just take out Luke Shaw and bring in like Reece James or somebody like that. And then if you want a wild card after that, you can. You can also easily use that transfer in 6 and wild card in 7. I can see that being a strategy as well. But I think Sar is someone to definitely look at for 4 through 6 because, Wolves at home, Newcastle at home, Norwich away. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that, personally. Rafinha is another one as well. I think if you have the little bit extra cash, I'm not sure if you're able to do it, but he might be someone that you could do as well. Yeah, definitely some avenues for points there. Masudi's got Sanchez, Foster, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Shaw, Ayling, Tsimikas, Veltman, Salah, Bruno, Barnes, Benrahma, Mahrez, Antonio, Tony, and Perico with 0.5 million in the bank. My head is killing me. I have 2 free transfers. I want Son and Rafinha. What do you think I should do? You can go for him. So let's do that. So we're gonna put the cycling GK straight in there. I don't know why he's got some type of injury apparently at the moment, but that's fine. You've got Veltman, you've got Ayling, you've got Tsimikas, you've got Shaw, you've got TA. Okay, so the backline's the same. You've got Mahrez instead of Gilmore here. You've got Salah. There. And then instead of... So you've got Antonio, Tony Perry. So instead of Ings, you've got Perica. Or whatever his name is. Who doesn't exist at the moment, I don't think. So I'm just going to use João Pedro. No, who's a 4.5 million forward? Davis or whatever. I don't know what Perica's price is because I don't actually have him. But yeah. So Mahrez, Benrahma, Barnes, Bruno, Salah, Veltman, Tsimikas, Ayling, Shaw. Oh, and you don't have Wilson. I was wondering. I was like, where did you get this extra money for? And so you have Ivan Toney. And you said you have 0.5 million in the bag. Okay, so Perica must be like 4.5 or 4.4 or whatever he is. Right. So, 0.5 million in the bank, as we can see there. So, yeah, 4.5. Okay, cool. So I can just use Davis as an example, because like, yeah, I don't think you could put Perica in your team anymore, because they removed him. You can only get rid of him. So Mars, I think, is fine for this week. I think Barnes, if you, I think Rafinha to like Barnes to Rafinha is perfectly fine this week. I think that's perfectly fine. If you just don't believe that Barnes is going to start or not, do well. Me personally, I would give him one more week, but I think both the fixtures are probably okay. I mean, Rafinha scored last game. I would potentially give Barnes another week. I would say the decision you probably have is, who do you want more? Do you want Son or Rafinha? Because I think it's so important to go into an international break with 2 free transfers, because you never know. The transfers you think you're going to make out on the other side of it, you could have an injury or two. And then you're looking at a -8 or a -12 rather than a -4 or something like that. So I think if I was going to do a transfer with your team, I would say everyone is a keep. Most likely, yeah, Mars is potentially a starter risk, but he came off the bench and scored last week, so you would think he's going to start. Barnes should still be fine, and he has Norwich, which I think is definitely a better fixture than Rafinha's. Me personally, I would just I would go with, you can go Salah to Son, if that's what you want to do. Because it still leaves you open to getting Salah back in a couple of game weeks if you want. You just have to make sure you plan for it. And then the real concern would be if you burn both your transfers. So let's say you did Son and Rafinha in for Salah and Barnes. In game week 4, when the United has Newcastle at home, and you want to get Ronaldo, you got to take a -8. There's no way around it. You have to get rid of Mahrez. You have to get rid of, well, I mean, you could take a -4, but it would mean getting rid of Fernandez, and then blocking yourself out of getting Salah back, in one transfer. So if it was me, I would do Son to Salah, or I would do Barnes to Rafinha. And then come game week 5, you can do like a little game week 4 rather. You could do a mini wild card. You can get rid of Mahrez. You can get rid of Son. You can get rid of Perica, who's just going to go down in value because he's just going to rot on your bench. I think Ivan Toney potentially could be in the chopping block, but Brighton at home, I think he's still okay for the time being. You can go for, I'm going to put Kane, but Ronaldo is probably, let's say he's 13 million. So we'll say we have what's that, 13.6 million left. You can then go for a cheaper midfielder. So you just go Gilmore, let's say. And then you have upwards of 9 million, like or so to have another midfielder in there. Actually, if I had Mahrez, if you just kept Mahrez, yeah, if you kept Mahrez, you could actually do it in two. I didn't think you could. Yeah, so if you have Davis up front and Son, you got rid of Son because you obviously downgraded from Salah, and then you bring in Ronaldo, which would be Kane, and let's say 13 million. Then you have Gilmore at 4.5, and you could keep Mahrez, so you could do two transfers the following week to do that. The only issue, the only issue is that you can't go from Son back to Salah while keeping Fernandes. You have to get rid of Fernandes in order to get Salah in game week 5 in one transfer. That would be the only thing that you would have to do. So that would be the situation for your team. But I think Son's fine if you're taking out Salah and you're planning on bringing Salah back in game week 5 when his fixtures are very, very nice. Crystal Palace at home, Brentford away. And then you could wildcard in 7 or wildcard in 8. It's your choice. And that's another thing we have to think about. If we wildcard in game week 7, we probably don't want Salah, but we want a way to get him back in maybe. And then if we wildcard in 8, we probably want Salah because he's got Watford, Brighton in 2 out of the next 3. But what's Man City going to be looking like at that point? So there's a lot of different things. The beginning of the season sometimes forms this, like, what we would deem as the template, which is just basically a fancy word for highly owned players, basically. And they're highly owned for a reason. So like Antonio's, he's 42.5% owned at the moment. Ben Rama's going to be up there, 26% now. Fernandes is going to be up there, 57.4, crazy. Trent's going to be up there, 33.5. Shaw's going to be highly owned, 50%. Tony's still 22.6%, although he hasn't done too much. Ayling's decently owned. Sanchez will be decently owned as well. So it's going to differentiate now. We needed this kind of wrench in the works, as it were, for FPL teams. Lukaku threw a spanner for the works, and some managers have jumped on him already by using their 2 transfers and potentially taking a hit for it. I believe Mark from the originator of Fantasy Football Scout, I saw on Black Box that he had brought in Lukaku as well. I don't know if it was 2 frees or he used a hit as well. I think it was 2 free. No, it must have been. It had to have been with a hit because he got rid of Torres and Mahrez, I think, because he just doesn't think that they're going to play. Maybe Torres might play now that Man City still are without a striker and Jesus apparently wants to play on the wing. So he's taking a hit for that. But now he's in a situation where if he wants Ronaldo game week 4, or maybe Kane lights it up against Watford, maybe he wants Kane in for Crystal Palace. So we'll see. And that's also not including the fact that the Brazilian players seem safe for the international break because none of the Premier League players were picked ahead of the international break so that they don't have to quarantine. So the likes of Rafinha, Firmino, Alisson, Fred, all the Brazilian players basically, they're not going to be playing over the international break because of that the Premier League is trying not to let their players go on international duty because they would have to quarantine unless there's going to be some exception or something. That's what's going to have to happen. So some players that we might be looking at or might have in our teams that could be on the chopping block this way is Antonio. He could be someone who has to isolate for a game because he plays for Jamaica, I believe, and they're going to be playing somewhere down in the islands, which are red listed at the moment for the UK. Raul Jimenez, someone I had looked to potentially bring in for for game week 4, and he could also miss out as well. Game week 4, he'll come back. He has a fantastic fixture, but he plays for Mexico, who are going to Mexico City and Panama, which are red listed countries as well. So that's another issue. Salah is another one that if he goes to one of the games, I believe, that is also a red listed country, which means he'll need to quarantine when he comes back. So yeah, could be a bit tricky. At the moment, we just have to deal with Antonio at the moment, if he is to be red listed, as it were. So yeah, we'll have to monitor that situation. Is there any news if Mahrez will start or not? That will help in taking the decision. I don't know, but what I can do is bring up another window off to the side and keep Twitter open for you, because usually we don't get early team news anymore, but you never know. We'll keep it available. Let's see. Also, United District, which is a verified account on Twitter, basically said by the time Solskjaer sat down to do his pre-match press conference on Friday afternoon, he already knew that Cristiano Ronaldo would be returning to Man United, which is why he probably made that statement. Also, Manchester City have unveiled the statues of Vincent Kompany and David Silva, and they look pretty darn cool. If I'm looking at them, they look pretty cool, to be honest. Rio Ferdinand is saying my eggs are even happy this morning. He's got a double fried egg, and some of the yolks come out to where it makes it look like it's a smiley face. So yeah, let me see. Yeah, but I'll keep you updated with the old team here. There's a lot of memes of City not getting anything and Ronaldo obviously going to United. Yeah, I don't see anything. I don't see anything at all. Also, Connor Cody came out and said, the best player in the world is coming to our league again. What a moment, but we need to make sure we're ready for it. He's talking about Ronaldo. But yeah, I don't see anything as of yet. But we will keep an eye on it as it gets closer and closer to the deadline. So we'll monitor the situation for you. Did the Salah the Son transfer? I like it. Basuma, Tsimikas, Omo on the bench. The order's probably fine, I think. Because Tsimikas plays Chelsea, Omobamidele plays. I mean, you could probably put Omobamidele before Tsimikas, probably. If I had to guess. Basuma's. Oh no, I just read that. Benrahma, a good captaincy ahead of Fernandez. Surely not. I don't know about that. I think Fernandez is probably better. I mean, Fernandez, agent Fernandez, that is, could just go on a madness today because they've signed. They realize that they've got Ronaldo coming back, and all the players need to buck their ideas up because Ronaldo ain't gonna take losing. That's for sure. Because the leadership and the work ethic that he's gonna bring just off the in the training ground is gonna be insane. So no, I don't think I would captain Benrahma over Fernandez. There's an argument for Antonio just because of Antonio's sheer stats and the fact that he's been delivering. So I would go Antonio if I was going to go a West Ham player. But I think having Antonio and Benrahma is going to be fine. I think Antonio might reach like the 90+% effective ownership mark, which means that he won't give you any rank rise. But I think the combination of Antonio and Benrahma is still not as highly owned. Um, but you never know. Me personally, if I had to choose between Antonio and Fernandez, I'm probably picking Fernandez, to be honest. Even still, Antonio does have the home fixture, so there's the benefit of that. But it's tricky between Antonio and Fernandez. Benrahma, I wouldn't captain though. I would captain Antonio if I was going to captain a West Ham player. To be honest, that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. Because when I see Ben Rama's got returns. Ben Rama has played well, but I think his goals have been overperforming in the if you get what I mean. So when Lingard was scoring goal after goal after goal after goal, um, there was a little bit in me that said like he's probably not going to continue doing that type thing. And Ben Rama, I'm kind of seeing as the same way, although he has been playing well enough to get returns. But has he been played well enough to get 2 double-digit returns back to back? I think West Ham as a whole have. I think Antonio have, but Ben Rama, maybe. But I wouldn't put the captaincy on him as well. Um, I think having Antonio and Ben Rama is probably fine. Um, Now, if you have triple United, so if you're going into the Wolves game and you have like Shaw, Fernandez, Greenwood, then maybe I'd be more inclined to captain Antonio, just to kind of not put all your eggs in one basket. So if you captain Fernandez and you have triple United, you effectively have 4 United versus 2 West Ham. Whereas if you have 2 United, 2 West Ham, you get an additional player in theory with the armband on Fernandez, or you get an additional West Ham player with the armband on Antonio. Now, so if you have Greenwood, Fernandez, Shaw, or something like that, then I would put the armband on Antonio. If you have Antonio, Benrahma, and Sufal, I would put the armband on Fernandez just to kind of spread it out a little bit. But me personally, I think Son is the best captaincy choice. I probably think Fernandez and Antonio then probably second fiddle to that. Kane is also would be an option too, but I know a lot of managers aren't going to go for Kane necessarily because he hasn't started a game yet and they want to wait and see. Got it. Feeling that Greenwood says Fernandez might not be appealing assets with Ronaldo now in the mix. Well, Ronaldo's taking penalties. I don't know if anyone knows that, but Ronaldo almost certainly is going to be like, I come here to score goals. I'm taking pens, even though Ronaldo probably shouldn't take pens, to be honest, because Bruno Fernandes is a way better penalty scoring ratio, and maybe Ronaldo isn't going to take pens. We'll have to see. So we'll see. Might take either one out somewhere down the line. Yeah, I mean, game week 4, if Ronaldo's starting game week 4, he's back in training, he's come back from the Portugal setup in the international break, and he's playing game week 4 home to Newcastle in the lineup. He's going straight in. Like there is no ifs, ands, buts about it. Like, so the plan I had originally was Son in for Salah. Then it was get rid of Ings, bring in Calvert-Lewin, who's currently flagged, but I think that's fine. I think he should be okay. Also, Yaz1_, thank you for the follow as well. Then it was going to be Son back out for Salah. And then it was going to be probably Barnes if he wasn't performing, down to the likes of Rafinha, or it was going to be Wilson to Raul Jimenez, or Barnes down to Traore. Now it's going to be our game week 5. Game week 6 we do nothing. Game week 7 we would get rid of Calvert-Lewin because he plays Man United. We would get rid of Fernandez, and we bring in like Lukaku, and like Havertz or Mount or somebody like that, and then we'd wild card in game week 8. That's what we were gonna do. But now that Ronaldo's come, I mean, everything changes now. We don't know what his price is either. I'm just assuming that it's gonna be 13 million. At least I'm compensating for that. Hope you're having a good day. I am. Hope you are too. Just wanted to pop in and drop a follow and say that I captained Luke Ayling. Luke Ayling. I mean, you do you, man. That's gonna be intense watching the Leeds Burnley game for you. Luke Ayling. I mean, if he could do a madness too. I mean, all he needs is a clean sheet and assist, and you're looking at 24 points from your captain. Clean sheet, assist, 3 bonus points. I mean, then you're in the money. Guitar celebration and all. But yeah, that's bold. Mind you, if there's a week to go with somebody crazy in the captaincy, it's this week for sure. Because there's no, like, Fernandez isn't going to be as heavily captain. He might only be 100% effective ownership, which means that if you don't captain him, you still get rank rise when he scores. It'll be marginal, but you still get rank rise. I wanted to risk gamble more this year in FPO, and I hate Burnley. Yeah, go on, lad. Do it. And then post your team when he gets a goal and an assist and a clean sheet. That'd be great. Nuka-Cola's on Antonio this week. So yeah, there's a bunch of different, I mean, Ings plays Brentford. He has his stats don't look great, but he's up against Brentford. Callum Wilson, even versus Southampton, could be good. Antonio, Ben Rama, I think is okay, but I would pick, Antonio over Ben Rama. Son is, my opinion, the best captain, and you're not going to get a situation where Son's going to be as lowly owned as what he is. I mean, he's 26.2%, but it's to be captained, he's going to gain you great rank rises. Fernandez is probably a decent shout as well. I mean, I've gotten rid of Salah, but even Salah at home versus Chelsea, you might get something there. So it's a bit weird. I think there's not going to be. I think the only player that I can potentially see breaking the 100% effective ownership, and now this is, if you don't know what effective ownership is, it's basically if everyone in the game had Bruno Fernandes as an example, that would be his ownership would be 100%. If everyone in the game had Bruno Fernandes and captained him, it's 200% effective ownership. And if everyone in the game had Bruno Fernandes and triple captained him, it would be 300% effective ownership. So you can see that how it is. But I think Bruno Fernandes might just barely be 100%. Antonio could get there, but I think in higher ranks probably he could get there. So. I know my luck. If I captain Antonio, he will blank. I mean, the last time I captained Antonio, he played Fulham, he blanked, and he pulled his hamstring. So, Jmar BDA has subscribed with a tier 1. Thank you so much for that. Hey, how's it going? And he says, Sonny with the Craigasm emoji. That's exactly how we're doing it. And would you play Amarty over Shaw this week? No, surely not. I would play Shaw every day of the week. Remember, Wolves have not scored a goal yet this season, and they've conceded. They have been stingier at the back, but that's more likely that Shaw's going to be in the clean sheet, surely. Son versus Antonio is a tough captain pick. Yeah, I think personally Son is historically a stat buster, as in he will have low XGI, potentially low XA, low XG, low number of shots potentially, but does very well when he plays. He will score. Kane is another one. Mind you, Kane's stats will be better because he takes away more shots, but Son has always been like the stat buster in that, like, he only needs one chance, one breakaway, Son scoring, guaranteed. This is how it works. Will Ronaldo be a midfielder or a forward? 100%. He'll be, I said 99.9% on my lineup preview, but Ronaldo will be a forward, guaranteed. Had Son before, but swapped to Antonio for now. I think both are going to do well. I just think that Watford at home is a better fixture than Crystal Palace at home. That's just my opinion. I'm literally what I did. It's something that you can, you guys can do as well, and I encourage you to do it. Get a spreadsheet. Put down all the fixtures. Get a spreadsheet. Write down all the fixtures every game week up until game week 38 if you want. But you can do it, few game weeks at a time if you want. and then go down the fixtures and see which fixture is the best one, which one's the second best one, and which one's the third best one, regardless of who's fit and available at the time. So when I went to go do it, looking at game week 1, right? I looked at the fixtures, the the teams that I looked in here on paper, and I said Man United at home is very good. I said that Leicester could be a decent fixture at home. Chelsea at home is very good. Liverpool away to Norwich is probably good. And I said that Liverpool was probably the best for me because they're playing a newly promoted team. United is second best because they're playing a Leeds team that like to open up at home. And then Chelsea's playing a kind of unknown quantity in Palace at home. So I said those were the three in that order. Now it turned out that Man United was first, Liverpool second, Chelsea third. But you get what I mean. And this week, basically, what I've done is I've looked at it and I said, well, Liverpool and Chelsea are kind of a write-off. Don't want to go near that. Spurs have the best fixture on paper because they have the best home fixture against a newly promoted team that is way worse away from home than they are at home. United then have a Wolves team that's struggling to score. And it's a decent fixture, but they do struggle at Molineux, so it could be a bit tricky. Leicester versus Norwich would have been a good fixture potentially, but I'm having my doubts over Leicester just in general. City versus Arsenal was actually a worse fixture for me in like my captaincy matrix initially, but now that how bad Arsenal played in the first two, they're kind of bumped up, and I would even think that potentially if you can get the City player right, like if you could predict Pep's lineup as an example, City versus Arsenal is probably a better fixture to me than Wolves away to Man United, just because of the way Man United struggle typically at Wolves. So Lukaku, Ronaldo, and Antonio would be a dangerous front three. It would be. And it'd be a lot of money too. I think Antonio would be more explosive, and if Kane is back, I think he'll score the goals. Well, that's not necessarily true because, when Son and Kane were at their peak at the beginning of last season, Son scored 4 and got an assist, and Kane scored 1 and got 4 assists. Now, they both obviously got ridiculous scores. I mean, we're not going to go crazy with it, but they had a ridiculous score in that game week versus Southampton. But you never know. It just depends. If Kane drops off and plays the ball in behind, Son's going to be the one to score. If it's Son down the wing and he plays it into Kane, then Kane's going to score. I think they can both do well. It's just a matter of how fit is Harry Kane. That's really the question. Because I think a fit Kane helps Son, and a fit Son helps Kane. I just think that's how it works. I think Son can also work on his own. I don't think Kane can work on his own. So, personally, I think Son helps Kane more than Kane helps Son, to be honest. Because Son can play up front, Son can play out on the left, Son can play in the front too. Kane, I think, needs the service, and if he doesn't have someone the likes of Son drawing the eyes of the defender away from him, then could be a bit sticky for Kane. But you never know. We've never seen it that way, so we'll see. But I think Son's definitely going to start. I think Kane should start as well. So we'll see how Nuno plays him. He might play him in the front too. Who knows? Grealish will probably start most matches. Can play on the wing in midfield. Grealish is another one. He played, so City typically play a 4-3-3. Now Grealish lines up as this like left-sided central midfielder, so they're like the left number 8 and like the V in the midfield 3. But the positions he's often taking up when they're in possession, when City are kind of probing in and around the box, he's like the David Silva role. So if you have I'll use my mouse on the screen here. So if you have your, Sterling is usually hugging the touchline, the left-sided central midfielder is usually in this place here, in this half space, potentially going into the box, and you want to see Grealish going in and getting those tap-ins. Doesn't matter if it comes off his thigh, his behind, his eyeball. It doesn't matter. If it goes in the goal, it goes in the goal, right? The false 9 is typically in and around the D or at the penalty spot. The other right-sided central midfielder, like Gundogan or somebody like that, will be in the right half space, and whoever's on the right will be on the touchline on the right-hand side. Also, D. Sarkar 516, thank you for the follow as well. He'd be a good captain pick against Arsenal. I agree. Actually, let me check. We only have less than 10 minutes left, so I'm going to check I'm gonna check Twitter just to see if if we have any team news potentially for City, because City versus Arsenal is the the first game of the day. Just a little update on Ronaldo. So Man UFC think Ronaldo fits with their stated aim of fusing together world-class signings with talented youngsters. They still feel their squad is one of the youngest in the Premier League. That is true. Cristiano Ronaldo was in discussions with Man City, but phone calls from Sir Alex Ferguson, Rio Ferdinand, and Bruno Fernandes on Friday morning helped persuade him to return to Old Trafford. Of course it did. Let's see, is there anything City related? Let's see. I don't see anything as of yet. I'm just seeing other stuff that's not really of any importance, but yeah, I'll check a couple minutes before the deadline, see if there's anything releasing potentially, but doesn't look like we're going to get any early team news, so unfortunately for Man City assets, you're kind of on your own on that one. So me personally, if I had Mahrez, I'd be keeping him. If I had Ferran Torres, I'd probably be keeping him. If I had Ilkay Gundogan, I'd probably be keeping him. If I had Grealish, I'd probably be keeping him, at least for this game, because the Arsenal's defense is just terrible. They don't have Ben White. Gabriel's only just returned to training. They're going to be going with Mari and Holding again, probably. So, I mean, even off the bench, 30 minutes off the bench against a tired Arsenal team that's already conceded 2, most likely. You know, you could get some returns there. I think it's definitely worth it. Same reason why I'm keeping Harvey Barnes as well. Norwich away, you know, newly promoted team, they conceded 3 goals to Liverpool. Leicester, if they kick it into gear, you know, they could do well. Now, Harvey Barnes could be benched this week. It's possible. And Brendan Rodgers can revert to a 3-5-2, but I think this is kind of negative. I think you just go out there and you just play attacking football. You just go blast Norwich. Play Barnes, play Iheanacho, play Vardy, play Tielemans, play Ndidi, play somebody else on the right flank. Maybe like a Pereira or somebody like that. Or you could play your 4-2-3-1 and just instead of Iosi Perez, you play Pereira and play Castagne at right back. I think that's something that he probably will do. And there's rumors that he will do that. So we will see. We will see. Let's actually take a look at the games themselves. So we have Man City versus Arsenal up front off the start. So I have no players in that game. Then we have Danny Ings will be in a lot of teams versus Ivan Toney. Sanchez will be versus Everton, so Calvert-Lewin versus Sanchez could be in there. We have Callum Wilson versus potentially Adam Armstrong owners. You know, Harvey Barnes, Jamie Vardy will be in this one here. The double West Ham duo versus Crystal Palace, and then we got the big one later on in the day. And then I'll have my captain and 2 players in the United game. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a lot of action today, I think, which is hopefully gonna lead to a green arrow. Any team is better without Iosi Perez. I agree. I think Iosi Perez is awful. Personally, I think Iosi Perez is awful. I don't know why he starts. I don't know why he plays on the right hand side. I just think he is not very good. I think he's much better as like a shadow striker. He reminds me of his playstyle of like what Dele Alli wants to do. He wants to make runs into the box. He wants to get in and around and amongst it. And he wants to help set things up initially to spray it out wide to get in the box and hopefully get the goal. That's what Iosi Perez wants to do. Sticking him out on the right doesn't accomplish that. And he's worse than Pereira as a right-sided attacker. He's worse than Albrighton. I would even rather Albrighton. At least Albrighton knows how to cross. You know? Amarty or Tsimikas, you got to go Amarty, I think. I think Tsimikas isn't going to play, so... and Amarty has a better fixture, so that's how I would go. Armstrong is only 3.5% owned. I hope he does well. I mean, he could be on my wildcard team. You know, just thinking about it. Where's Armstrong? Is this my... No, this is all players. All players. How come Armstrong's not here? Southampton. Oh, here we go. Maybe it's because he has the A in front of his name. But yeah, Adam Armstrong, he's, you know, game week 8, you know, if I'm wildcarding game week 8, this run of fixtures look excellent. I think they look good. So, yeah. I think that could be quite an astute buy, I think, on the wildcard. And he could be the cheap enabler so that we can get in Lukaku, we can get in KDB, you know, those sorts of stuff. Salah out confirmed. I did take Salah out, and I brought Son in to captain him. DCL to play. I think DCL should be fine. He is flagged, but I think he's fine. I think they're just saying, yeah, he has a little bit of a toe injury, but I mean, maybe he might miss out. Who knows? But I would assume that if DCL does play, he's probably not going to go on England duty, which give him time to recover, I guess. Jimenez after this game week is perfect if he doesn't have to isolate, because remember he plays for Mexico, and they could have to isolate because they're going to Mexico City, and they're going to Panama, which are red-listed countries on the UK's red list, which means he would have to quarantine when he comes back, which means he would miss game week 4. But getting him in game week 5, that's probably fine too. If you had to pick one of Duffy or Livramento for this game week, so Duffy plays Everton and Livramento plays Newcastle. I think both defenders concede. Who do I think has more likely chance to get an attacking threat? I think you probably got to go with Livramento. I think you probably have to go with Livramento, to be honest. That's just me personally. Because I think you're not going to play Livramento both most weeks. The double up on Brighton defense doesn't really appeal to me, even though I have it currently. But if I knew Bachmann was going to be even slightly better, or on par with Sanchez, I'd go that route. But I think Livramento, to be honest. The Brighton defense, I'm going to have to play it a couple of weeks. Brentford away, Crystal Palace away. But, I think Livramento is probably more likely to... He's going to be a more exciting pick, to be honest. Also, with the fact that Walker Peters played in at backup left back or something during their was it Carabao Cup second round or whatever it was. That just excites me more as a would-be as a Livramento owner, because of the fact that he's first choice and he's going to be in there and he's cheap and he's going to play. Who would I think is more likely to score? I think Everton's more likely to score than Newcastle. So that's who I would go for. I'd go for Livramento personally. He looked very lively in the last game week. Watch that one too. Yep. And Paredes or Pedro Neto could be a good option for one game week if Jimenez is out. Yep. I mean, that too. Dama Traore. If he starts putting the ball in the back of the net, he's just a unique player, that could cause big issues for teams. Have around 30 seconds. Around 30 seconds for the deadline. I'm just gonna confirm that on my phone. It looks like my time is synced properly this time, because last time it wasn't. So yeah, we will do a countdown. We have 15 seconds left. 15 seconds, so make sure your teams are locked and loaded. I'm gonna hit refresh here, make sure everything is in order. So we got Sanchez, Ayling, Trent, Shaw, Son captain in for Salah, banking the other transfer. Benrahma, Barnes, Fernandez, vice captain, Wilson, Antonio, Ings, Veltman, Gilmore, Simicast, Begovic. We're okay. Son is my captain and Ings is my vice. Would you sacrifice Trent and Ings to bring in Ronaldo? Possibly, but I would want Trent back for game week 5. So my sacrifice is going to be most likely Ings and Son, to be honest. That's how I'm going to do it. So that should be the deadline. Didn't actually do a countdown, but that should be the deadline. If I refresh this, it should break the site, and it does break the site. So the game will be available soon. So hopefully you had all your teams locked in, and hopefully everything is a-okay for everybody. So I'm just gonna get rid of this. I'm just gonna check Twitter to see if there's anything. I was supposed to check Twitter just for the Man City stuff, but I don't see anything here personally. No, I don't see anything. We're probably not gonna get anything. So yeah, we're probably not gonna get anything. Yeah, I'm just scrolling through and I don't see any. I don't see anything. So yeah, we'll close out of that. But yeah, just before we sign off, thank you, Jankster, as well. Cheers to all of you for joining us. We're just gonna move over to the Fantasy Football Scout screen for just a second to talk about that. So, Fantasy Football Scout, again, you still have up until Sunday to use the link in the chat right now. It's also in the About section here on Twitch. If you're watching this over on YouTube, it's also in the description below. http://bit.ly/ffscoutpilotflame. So make sure to check that link out. You get 20% off up until Sunday for your Fantasy Football Scout membership. You can create Opta stats driven tables custom to your FPL needs, as well as you can see heat maps and all kinds of other great tools to allow you to enhance your FPL game. So the offer ends on Sunday. It's normally £25, but they've given you 20% off for Pilot Flame viewers exclusively. So make sure to check that out. And get it if you want to help add some stats to your FPL game. It's definitely helped mine. I use them on the videos and stuff as well, so make sure to check that all out. But yeah, without further ado, let's move over to the big screen. So that's it for the Game Week 3 deadline. Hope you all have a good one. We're going to be doing a lot of videos with different series over the international break. We'll have the Liverpool versus Chelsea tactics talk a week on Sunday. I'll post the international break schedule, but I think I have it written down here. What do we have written? So we're gonna have players to target on Monday most likely, or it's gonna be a combination of this. So there's gonna be 4 videos coming out next week. So it's gonna be players to target, wild cards for those that want a wild card over the international break. We'll have teams to target, so teams that I think the fixtures are changing and we need to look at them, and then the tactics talk, and then back to normal on the following week, which is going to be the preview show, which is going to be a stream here. Captaincy, buy, hold, sell. We're going to look at the transfer radar series, where we take a look at players' transfers and see why players are transferring in or out. We're going to have the lineup preview on the Friday as well, and then we're going to do the deadline stream as normal on the Saturday. So lots and lots of stuff to come. So make sure to follow us on all the socials and all that good stuff. And yeah, it's been Pilot Flame. Thank you all for watching, and until the next one, take care.